13 crazy Persian Gulf events. Number 13, the one-day battle. One of the highlights in the history of the confrontations between the US and Iran came on April 18, 1988. The USS Samuel B. Roberts struck a mine while on a convoy mission, leaving a 15-foot hole in its hull and nearly sinking it. In response, US forces attacked 2 Iranian oil rigs and sank or damaged 6 Iranian vessels in an attack called Operation Praying Mantis. A month later, the USS Vincennes was summoned to protect the Samuel B. Roberts as it was hauled back to the United States. In July, the Vincennes shot down Iran Flight 655, killing all 290 crew and passengers. The US government said the crew mistook the plane for an attacking F-14 fighter, but the Iranian government speculated that the civilian aircraft was shot down on purpose. Number 12, cyclones. Though tropical cyclones have never been seen in the Persian Gulf, experts speculate that because of the changing climate, there is a small risk of cyclones occurring in the near future. Cities in the area, like Dubai, would be very vulnerable if a cyclone were to hit, as these cities are unprepared for big storm surges. Cyclone Gonu got dangerously close to the Persian Gulf in 2007 when it struck the Arabian Sea and eventually made its way to Oman and Iran, killing 78 people. Number 11, new coral reef. Scientists accidentally discovered a living coral reef off the coast of Iraq. While there are plenty of coral ecosystems throughout the Persian Gulf, it was previously thought to be highly unlikely that coral would be able to colonize in this frigidly cold part of the coast. The Shatt al-Rab River flows into this part of the Gulf and carries oil and river sediment with it, which is another factor that makes this find shocking. Number 10, 3rd century artifacts uncovered. Iranian archaeologists found pottery pieces and other artifacts from the ancient Persian Sassanid dynasty while excavating the bottom of the Persian Gulf in early August. The Sassanid Empire ruled Persia in the 3rd and 4th centuries AD. Scientists have 2 theories as to how the artifacts ended up in the Gulf. One is that an ancient merchant ship sank into the water, and the other is that an ancient settlement on the Gulf Coast flooded. This is the first time the area has been explored, and more answers should come with further excavation. Number 9, Gulf's warm water destroying Royal Navy. It has been recently discovered that British warships stationed in the Persian Gulf are losing power because they can't cope with the Gulf's warm waters. Several of the Royal Navy's Type 45 destroyers have experienced power outages because of the water's high temperatures, which can reach up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The Type 45 destroyers are Britain's most advanced warships ever built and are the backbone of their air defense. They cost over $1 billion to build and are supposed to last 30 years. Number 8, drinking water. A widespread shortage of water in Iran in recent years has led their government to look to the Persian Gulf for a solution. The Minister of Power recently announced a project whose goal is to provide drinking water for 45 million people in 17 provinces of the region. General decline in precipitation and years of water management have led to this water crisis that has become a top priority for Iran's government. Number 7, the MV Dara Sinks. The Gulf's biggest maritime tragedy in peacetime took place on the MV Dara more than half a century ago. The Dara was a passenger liner that took off with 700 passengers and crew from Bombay. While sailing the Persian Gulf, a giant explosion ripped through the ship, causing a fire that would last for 2 days before the vessel would finally sink to the bottom of the Gulf. The disaster claimed 238 lives. A survivor who published an account of the incident describes the sound of the wind tearing through the ship being drowned out by the sound of human screams, and said that those screams have haunted him his whole life. Number 6, Iran's Suez Canal. This hasn't been built yet, but if it ever does, it will be a huge deal. Iran is planning to construct an artificial canal linking the Caspian Sea to the Persian Gulf. The ambitious project faces a ton of hurdles, but it is expected to be commissioned sometime in the 2020s. Issues to overcome include the cost of the project, the many different countries that would have to be involved, and the difference in elevation between the Iranian regions that would have to be connected. It is a project that has been discussed since the 1980s, and would be extremely beneficial to the regions in the area, especially Iran. Number 5, Naruse oil field spill. The Gulf War oil spill is infamous thanks to the fact that it was both the biggest oil spill ever and that it was done intentionally. Historically, it overshadows another big oil spill that occurred in the Persian Gulf. On February 10, 1983, a tanker collided with a platform at Naruse oil field, causing a spill of approximately 1,500 barrels daily. The well was left uncapped for over 7 months because it was in the middle of the Iran-Iraq war zone. Finally, the well was capped by the Iranians on September 18, 1983, in an operation that would claim 11 lives. Number 4. Unknown creature surfaces. People ran wild with speculation when this and several other photos surfaced in July of 2013. An Iranian vessel discovered this unknown creature floating around in the Persian Gulf. The vessel was unable to haul the giant carcass back to land, so we will never know for sure what it was. While some claimed it could have been the Loch Ness Monster, it was more than likely a whale carcass. Number 3. U.S. boats seized. In January of this year, 2 United States Navy Riverine Command boats and their crews were seized by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy for wandering into Iranian territorial water. The issue was quickly resolved and the fleet was released after 15 hours. It comes amid a string of recent incidents between the two navies in the Persian Gulf. In late August, 4 of Iran's ships got dangerously close to a U.S. destroyer traveling at high speeds. The U.S. ships fired off 10 flares before the approaching vessels finally veered off course. The US called the incident unsafe and unprofessional. Number 2. USS Stark incident. An Iraqi jet aircraft fired missiles at the USS Stark on May 17, 1987, killing 37 of its crew and injuring an additional 21. The incident took place amidst the Iran-Iraq war. An analysis of the incident revealed that the crew was partly to blame as they failed to warn the Iraqi jet that it was approaching a United States vessel. The remaining crew spent the night of the incident and the following day fighting a fire on the ship, and the vessel was eventually able to make it back on land under her own power. Number 1. Gulf War oil spill. Iraqi forces purposely opened valves at the Sea Island oil terminal and dumped millions of barrels of oil into the Persian Gulf at the end of January 1991. The incident was a wartime move against the US forces and remains the largest oil spill in history to this day. People who witnessed the spill explain that it is hard to describe the amount of oil in the water. While the Persian Gulf was shockingly resilient to the large amount of oil in her waters, it still devastated marine wildlife and coastal habitats in the Gulf.
For better.